How's it going, guys? UrAvgStudent here. So in today's video, I wanted to talk about whether or not you guys should live on or off campus. I may not be able to exactly answer that question, but I just wanted to give you guys the pros and cons of doing both. Because I know some of you are either going to college within the next year, and some of you are actually going to be applying next year, whatever the case may be. But definitely your living situation is going to be one of the biggest things you have to deal with when moving off to college. Now, obviously, if you're going to a college out of state, if you're going to a college 3 hours away from where you live, well, then chances are you're not going to have much of a say as into moving out or not. But what I'm specifically talking about is whether or not you should live in a dorm or you should live in an off-campus apartment. And in that case, you can also throw in the fact of whether or not you should stay at home if you're going to a school not too far away from you. So I currently attend the University of Texas at Austin, as I mentioned in my previous video. And I actually live on an off-campus apartment, although I am actually very close to campus. I can actually walk to campus, at least most of the parts of campus. I mean, it's pretty big. And see, the reason I did so is because it's cheaper. So that's point number one that I'm going to make in this video. One of the best benefits of living off campus, as opposed to living on dorms, is to save money. Austin is just an expensive place to live, and the dorms just get even more expensive. And one thing that drove me away from dorm life is the fact that I didn't want to have a bad roommate experience. Now, I actually didn't have anyone from my previous high school come to UT with me, so I didn't have any friends from my high school to potentially room with. Now, had I had a roommate to live with, I possibly would have just lived on campus just so I could go through the full college experience, and I'm going to get to that point and what I mean with that in just a bit. One more benefit to living off campus is just the space. When you get a dorm, and I've seen the dorms, they're very, very small in the sense that you pretty much just bring what you really need. Even then, the room that I live in now is not the biggest. But not only was it cheaper, I got more space, my own bathroom for way cheaper. So that's definitely what drove me to go ahead and live off campus. Now, do I regret it at all? No, I do not. I've enjoyed being able to make my own den, if you want to call it. Just having things the way I need them and want them to be. I just also didn't want, like I said, to run into this situation of having a bad roommate experience. I've heard lots and lots of different stories like that, and it just seems to really ruin your freshman year if you have a bad roommate. Now, let's talk about a positive of living on campus. Even though I live close to campus, I'm still not on campus. And so I don't get to hear of many of the social events that go on for the most part. I mean, I still hear of things because they send emails or whatnot, but some dorms specifically have their own parties, or some dorms will have their own type of like get-togethers or like gaming night, movie night, etc. Now, definitely if you know someone who lives there and then they invite you, you're more than welcome to go. But the point is, by not living at a dorm specifically, you kind of miss out on that social aspect. By being on campus, you're always aware of what's going on campus. You don't have to be kind of filled in or do your own research to know what's going on. It's just a benefit of living there that you know of the fun social events. And another huge plus is the fact that you can just go and come back to your dorm in between classes because you're on campus. So as opposed, it takes me 20 minutes to walk to Welch Hall, which if you know UT, you know what Welch Hall is. While it might take me 20 minutes to get there, it might take someone who lives at the Jesser dorms 5 minutes, if even that. Now, what about living at your house if you attend a local university? One of the big things where I'm from, back in Dallas, is to live at home if you attend one of the schools, like either one of the community colleges, UT Arlington, UT Dallas even. Should you live at home? Well, again, it kind of goes back to the similar arguments that I had for living off campus. You will save a lot of money assuming your parents don't charge you rent, and even if they do, I doubt they charge you the same amount that you pay for an apartment. But you also, for the most part, could expect to pay less for your food. You could also expect to pay less for any other maintenance expenses or any just kind of living expenses at all. So you definitely save a huge chunk of change just that way. Now, granted, you are going to spend in gas, commuting back and forth, but I highly doubt that you're going to spend more on gas than you would on rent and living expenses combined. So in general, for me, it seems like the way to make your decision is what kind of budget do you have? If you're able to spend to live at a dorm, or if it's better to spend to live at an off-campus apartment that's close by. Although you will be missing out on the social experiences and just kind of getting to know many people who live in the same dorm as you. Second of all, what do you really feel your living needs are? Are you going to need more space? Do you know anyone who's living on campus? And are you willing to take the risk of having a potentially bad roommate, or even meeting the best person ever to be your roommate? Ultimately, it comes down to those two things. This video is not meant to persuade you one way or the other. There's definitely plenty of arguments for each of them. I just wanted to give you the pros and cons based off of what I know. Next year, I will also be living on an off-campus apartment, and that's fine by me. That's not to say that you're not going to get any social experiences or any type of social events by living on an off-campus apartment. You just have to put more of the effort. So that's it for today's video, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any more questions, feel free to comment down below. Leave a like if you liked it. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Stay humble, hustle hard.